Yes, I mean, it's an interesting idea. With the International Space Station on the coming slowly, it seems going on the down low, and Russia planning on to pull out in a couple of years' time. China building their own space station, Russia going for their own. The private sector is now stepping in to build low Earth orbit space stations, and it's the next step really, since they're flying into low Earth orbit. And his plan is to have what he's called a business park, which is really great, parking in low Earth orbit. And the idea is that researchers, universities can go on board to do their research and matters like that. Private companies can, and sections of it can be used for hotels. So it's a multi-purpose low Earth orbit space station. An absolutely fantastic idea, really, when you think about it. And in many respects, it's probably going to be more practical than the Great International Space Station, which, to be honest, was somewhat underused. But here, you can see the power of building something which could be quite remarkable. This is really the beginning of the future of spaceflight.
You know what, Andrew? One of the things that convinced me that the promise that this would be in space and operating by the end of this decade, one reason I took that seriously was because of the involvement of Boeing. But actually then I scratched that and thought better of it and thought, no, actually, the reason to have confidence that this isn't a pipe dream is because of Bezos.
Absolutely right. And people like Bezos, Musk, Branson do things that governments can't do. They get on with it, and they're not sitting there having about endless committee meetings deciding what we might do and what colour do we need to paint this, and does that make things correct or not. They just get on with it, and I think this is why it will happen, and it's needed that. It's interesting. There's a very big difference between the West and the East when it comes to developing space. In the West, of course, the great democracies, if you like it, take time to get things done. In the East, they do things by decree. So in China, we're doing it and that's it. That's exactly how private companies operate. The CEO says we're doing it, and they go ahead and do it. And I think that's just why they've stolen a march on people like NASA with this one.
Yeah, and those images that go with the story, beautiful. And there's one of the sunrise, sunset, you couldn't tell which, but you get multiple sunset, sunrise every day on the space station.
Every 45 minutes there will be a sunrise or a sunset. That's correct, because you orbit every 90 minutes. Wonderful, isn't it, that, eh? That's a
lovely idea. Andy, it's so good of you to join us, and let's hope, fingers crossed, that comes to pass, doesn't it? Andy Loud, thanks very much indeed.